Sometimes you can barely know a person, but in their minds, y'all are married with children living a happily ever after. Trash the Piece Theater, Episode 9, Sex in the Time Machine. So back in the post-rock-aware Gucci scarf and Prada sneaker-wearing days, I was on my grind in Philly. I got invited to be a part of a local TV show, and the producer was an older woman who was super cool. After the interview, she asked me why I was single and if I'd be interested in dating her daughter, Kay. I knew Kay from the art scene. Super dope singer, super sweet woman, but super Joe. And she was perpetually out of pocket. She and my ex got into a thing when she flirted with me right in front of her face at a poetry event. I told mom that I was on my grind mode and didn't have time for a relationship. She hit me with the having a good woman in your corner can only help you get where you want to be, and said I should seriously consider dating her daughter. Apparently she went home and had the same conversation, because after that night, Kay hit me up out of nowhere on Facebook. I didn't really pay any mind at first, but then Kay started talking some nasty shit, so I was like... A few conversations and a few days later, she's on her way to my apartment. I opened the door and she was dressed up like super formal, like in a beauty pageant dress drawn with the poofy white stuff underneath. It was late, so I just figured she was coming from some kind of fancy event. So we on the couch watching TV, and out of nowhere, she said she needs to confess something. So now I'm like, here come the bullshit. She told me she was a virgin and had zero plans on giving away her virginity until she was married. So I'm like, cool, no problem. But she cuts me off and assures me that she's only technically a virgin and does other things to keep her man satisfied. So again, I'm like, bet. Things got quiet, so I started in. Since we're in the confessing mood, I need to tell you that I used to date two people you went to high school with. I'm not sure if y'all friends or not. Before I could run off their names, she stopped me and said she knew. Said, I hated those bitches in high school. And I was stuck like, cool? So we sat on the couch watching TV, and she judged everything I put on since she's one of those I don't watch TV bougie ass joins. I started to hint that it was getting late, thinking she'd pack it in for the night. Instead, Joan leans over, unzips my pants, and goes to town. And I'm trying to say this without diminishing the act or being too graphic, but it was different. It was like mad slow. I was looking around the living room confused. The toppy wasn't sloppy. In fact, it was rather spotless and meticulous. But I mean, it worked. I'm not sure whether or not I was supposed to propose after that glacial head, but she threw a temper tantrum that week when we didn't immediately hop into a relationship. She hit me with the guilt trip and said she was mad at me. I hate guilt trips, so I was like, sucks to suck. I know I was wrong for that, and she did too, so we stopped talking. Fast forward some time, and I was thirst trapping on Facebook. It worked because she sent me a message. I apologized, and she came over that night in another ballroom pageant-ass dress. Again, weird. However, she gave the lethargic but lethal oral acrobat, so I stopped thinking about it. I was trying to reciprocate, but she said she didn't want to be tempted to go all the way. And that went on for a while. She'd come over in a pageant-ass dress with some heels on and provide the apathetic but appropriate anti-sloppy toppy. And I was trash because I knew she wanted more, but that didn't stop me. This one night after the clean and clinical head, she hinted at reciprocation. I was rubbing my hands like Birdman trying to collect a body. I'm not gonna go into details, but she sat at the end of the bed trying to reattach her soul while considering if she wanted to wait to gift her husband her virginity. And I was like, nah, don't do that. In my mind, I knew my trash ass wasn't worth it. So that's what it kept being. She'd come over in some Miss America shit, get her soul snatched, and give up the quick and clean pinpoint precision peen pummeling. But she kept passive aggressively hinting more and more at becoming serious, so eventually I cut it off. Until she hit me up one night like 2 a.m. and invited me over to her place. My goofy ass should have stayed put, but I get to her door and she answered in her typical fancy dress and heels, which by then wasn't weird anymore. I followed her in, and it was like walking into a fucking time machine. The furniture, the lighting, the vibe was like I walked into a Hanna-Barbera cartoon. There was dead ass a phonograph playing jazz in the living room. Shit was bizarre. How we role playing and she didn't even give me a heads up. I felt like I should have been in there with a zoot suit on. So now I feel like I'm chilling backstage at the Apollo Theater feeling extra unsexy while she's looking and talking like Lady Eloise from Boomerang. I was anti-horny thinking about how all this time I bagged Billie Holiday and had no idea. I shook it off and became intrigued. I wanted to see how deep the rabbit hole went. I probably should have just walked out, but I was wondering if the upstairs was just like the downstairs, and it was. She went hard with the motif, the whole entire house. My dumbass sits down and she starts going to town like every other time. Then it dawned on me. Maybe that's why she was given the slow toppy. Maybe that's how they gave head during the Harlem Renaissance and she was like a fellatio researcher or some shit. Maybe that's how hard she was committed. So I was like, fuck it, you're here now. Commit to the moment. And I did. That shit didn't work. I couldn't focus on the act because I just kept looking around wondering how the fuck did I manage to catch the A train to Duke Ellington's apartment. I was getting topped off in the Cotton Club. I was focusing on everything except what was going on. Like I started keying into the jazz that was playing in the background, and I realized there was no way I was ever gonna be able to climax to the Tom and Jerry soundtrack. She suggested we do some other kinky shit. And I was with it initially, but then I didn't want to get freaky in what could have been Ella Fitzgerald's house. We ended up just chilling on the bed while listening to Dizzy Gillespie and feeling like Easy Rollins and Daphne Monet. And after a while, I walked back out the door to the 21st century. You'd think it would have ended there, but she invited me back over like a month or so later, and I was like... I wasn't gonna go at first, but my father ain't raised no bitch. Plus, in my mind, I told myself if I was alive in the 1940s or 50s or 20s or whatever year she was going for, I'd have been getting the wild, smoky jazz club, double bass, upright, slow cadence toppy anyway. I was trying to make my fuckboy forefathers proud. It was the same when I got there though. I thought I could, but once the Louis Armstrong music started playing, I just couldn't do it. Satchmo and sexy time is not the move. So we just ended up being cool. She'd hit me with the passive-aggressive flirting every now and again, but nothing came of it. Until one day she said she bought me a laptop, but I had to come earn it. And at the time, I needed a laptop. So I was like, I guess I gotta go over there and send her to the upper room.
The upper room with Jesus.
But I got there and she had on the extra frilly Suge Avery dress. And I couldn't fucking do it. Who's sucking out souls in Harpo's juke joint? I didn't get the laptop or any other kind of top after that night. I mean, it should have never ever gotten that far since I knew from the rip she wanted way more than just sex. Philly is hella small, so we'd see each other around from time to time. We ended up having a fallout over some business venture. Cost me a couple dollars too. But honestly, that's what I get for dealing with someone who only wanted me because her mama wanted me for her. That and some semblance of revenge on two joints she hated from high school. Karma is slow, but not as slow as that head she was given. Thank you so much for watching Trash to Peace Theater. Please like, comment, follow, and subscribe. Also, please consider donating to our Patreon to help the channel grow. Patreon patrons receive additional bonus episodes, so there's that too. This is all possible because of your support. Thank you.